one, so that is just more leverage for especially thing that I think we
that is the beginning of our intelligence
not faced in China's context please one thing 1983
could quantum for hattrick nation you period to write back before going into hug from India this should come
war was the working there for relief, and they sent even GP place where they were held over there. So this was first-hand evidence, photographs were taken, everything was there, and as the president's advisor recently confessed, so they lost the war on a large number of fronts, on the human rights, but because the entire entity structure is gone, so they can't be held responsible. That leaves just the Sri Lanka. What is research and said that India favored change in all the Arab countries, a change in favor of pluralism and democracy. And this was a fact that was in slightly short supply in Sri Lanka. Journalists were into them, and it was I was fine to they were just enough fact of case has the fasting with island and now the jobless youth roaming around. Military weapons in the Rajapaksa also would have no interest really in arousing chauvinist sentiments because he's in a politically good position. At the same time, this resolution is not very different from what India has been telling Sri Lanka for the past 2.5 politician 13th amendment class, all that thing.
But Mr. Dixit, a lot is being said about compulsions of coalition politics, how the government has bowed once again to one of its allies. The DMK was exerting a lot of pressure on the government.
Yes, that is true. There was a lot of pressure. As I told you, they lost the fight in cyberspace. They lost the fight in perception. They were not able to put their point of view very clearly. So so the Tamil sentiment, particularly in India, in Tamil Nadu, was really one side. The left, the right, the center, all of them were thinking ignore sentiments that are have only one view.
All right. Well, Mr. Sikri, what Mr. Dixit also said about India finally starting to take a position on issues. We voted with the US on Syria. Also, does it mean India is finally willing to take the responsibilities that come with its claims of being a superpower, the fact that we no longer want to be seen as fence-sitters?
I think as India's power and influence in the world grows, we will have to take positions on delicate issues, and we can't always be trying to please everyone. Much has been said about how this is not to our advantage in Sri Lanka, that we have upset Sri Lanka. But I think the Sri Lankans also have to understand that they cannot continue to follow policies that are upsetting us.
Right.
If Rajapaksa has his right-wing Sinhala sentiment, we have an overwhelmingly Tamil sentiment. And it's not just Tamil Nadu, I think it's the whole country. Because the question is India willing to do something about protecting human rights, and particularly when it relates to people of Indian origin settled abroad? And there are large communities across the world, in Malaysia, in Fiji, in Burma, in the Gulf, and so forth. So we have to be conscious of this fact. As a big power, we cannot abdicate that responsibility. We have to be a little more forthright. But I think, as Alok pointed out, we've tried to moderate the resolution, saying that it's essentially for the Sri Lanka government to do take the steps, and that anything which is done would be in consultation with and with the concurrence of the Sri Lanka government. As I said, if nothing is done, if the old policies are continued, then I'm afraid that the further resolutions would.
Right, and whether or not we side with them, that remains to be seen. But Captain Bansal, India, of course, as you mentioned, did manage to get the resolution toned down. But Sri Lanka continues to be angry and said that domestic policy and strategic alliances are making countries vote against them. How do you think it is going to impact our relations with Colombo?
See, the fact of the matter is that if you go through domestic public opinion, if you see the letters to the editors and you see the musings on the cyber world, the Sri Lankan and average Sri Lankan is definitely upset. There is no doubt about it. It's the elite, the liberal elite is still supportive of the India's stance. They feel that India should have acted much earlier. This will always be a problem. Again, as I said, President Rajapaksa and the government realizes that they cannot antagonize India, but the common man does not. In fact, similarly, the common man does not 15 countries which actually opposed it. And the Sri Lankan media is trying to prop it up as East versus the West, because by and large the Asian countries have actually opposed the resolution. Not only China, even Russia opposed it, and from India's point of view, the two South Asian countries, that is Bangladesh and Maldives, also opposed it. So that is how the Sri Lankan media is trying to propagate it. I think both China and Russia had their own internal reasons to actually oppose it. They did not want country-specific resolutions to be passed, because both the countries could as well be accused of human rights violation in their own way. And I think that was the reason why they actually voted against it. China already has made deep inroads into Sri Lanka.
Right.
But as I said earlier, as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, China, or for that matter any other country, can never ever substitute India. There is no doubt that China has made deep economic inroads. In fact, the project is a big achievement. Of course, they are into Colombo Harbour expansion project.
China is one of the biggest donors of foreign aid
and
to Sri Lanka.
they are there in a big way economically. But as I said, strategically they can never be a substitute for India.